Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the PromoMinds Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about expanding your network and why that's important and how successful it can be. Stay tuned. More from the PromoMinds Podcast coming up shortly. PromoMinds. Promote your brand, transform your business. All right, so with today's topic, I absolutely love resorting to this. This is almost like my go-to, if you're just starting out, you need some ideas, this is the go-to thing to do, all right? Expand your network because right now, nobody knows who you are, right? And in order to get out of obscurity, you're gonna need to meet new people, let them know what you're doing, and just be associated with the thing that you do, right? And so there's a number of ways that you can go about doing it, but we want to talk about the fastest way to do it. And from my experience, that would be to get around people who are in a similar, targeting a similar audience and they may or may not be in the same space, but the audience is what you're looking for. So in the past, what I've done is I've interviewed people who have had way more influence than me. And the fact that I was, in the same camera shot as them is, a miracle in itself. And utilizing their platform and my own, the value that I was offering was a chance for them to further promote what they were doing to my current audience. Not that I had no followers. I had followers, but just the platform that they had was a lot more than what I had at the time. And so I've done that for real estate events. There was an Airbnb event, just a real estate meetup event that I've done. I've also done that with other vendors in my industry and just some of our suppliers, I guess, to bring them on so that it allowed me to ask some questions that I was receiving as a distributor, but then also gave people a chance doing like a live Zoom or Facebook Live or something like that. It would allow others to be able to jump on, ask some questions, or really just to get notified at what was going on. And so the benefits that I was seeing with that, it was incredible. When I started interviewing people just on my own Facebook for the real estate meetups, I saw just an exponential growth with my followers. And the same can be true with different events that you can do in your own community. Like last year, one of the clients that I had, we needed to get out of obscurity, get people to know what was going on, and just to have people know that they existed, right? And so one of the things I like to do is observe, right? Observe your community, observe your space and how people interact, right? And this started at the Santa Claus parade that we were at. I noticed that there was a plethora of animals, specifically dogs. And I had never seen a Santa Claus parade with so many animals in it. And it was incredible. So much so that it still stands out in my mind. And so moving forward, I was like, okay, we're coming up to Christmas time or the holiday season. And so how can we utilize this, right? And so looking at how do we expand our network? Well, one of the big networks in our area is the OSPCA, the Humane Society. And knowing that the majority of people seem to like animals, which I think in general most people do, unless you've had a bad experience. And I thought, okay, well, we can utilize that to raise money because they're always looking for for money, right? Because they work off of donations. And so how can we create something fun where you're associated with that, but then also you're, impacting the community in a positive way? It's a perpetual thing that, just helps you expand your network, but also other people are benefiting from it tremendously as well. The other thing that we looked at was a local coffee shop that has a lot of influence in the community, and pretty much everyone knows about them. And they get a lot of traffic, especially during the holiday season. I believe they said that the lead up before Christmas was actually their biggest week, or one of their biggest weeks of the entire year. And so I thought, okay, why don't we partner with them, and for every coffee that's bought, we could donate a certain amount of money for every coffee purchased, that not that the coffee shop would donate, but you would donate. And so we did that for 1 week, the week leading up to Christmas, and the results, there was a few $100s raised. We were able to promote it, which, anytime you can promote an event, even if you have to create a small event to make it seem huge, just give yourself an excuse to promote, right? And so being able to promote the event and having the people or the organizations that we partnered with sharing that, further building your brand, because this particular individual loves animals, and so that's a part of their brand. So it worked out perfectly. And so we got pushed into not just the OSPCA's network, but then also the local coffee shops network. And it was beneficial on all counts, because coffee shop, it's an event happening there, and people want to support the local Humane Society. So of course they're going to do what they can to not just go once, maybe they go a couple times, maybe they buy a couple different coffees, and support as much as they can, right? On top of that, the Humane Society, they wanted to see this as a success, because it allowed for more donations, and so it was a win-win for them. And all around, everyone won, right? And that was just a simple campaign that, in the end, it cost a few $100s for donation, but that's great marketing dollars well spent in my regards. That's just a couple different ideas to help get out in the community and to help expand into different different networks. Because, like I said at the beginning, the biggest problem is obscurity. And if you can get out of obscurity quickly, the more people know about you, the more they can do business with you, right? Now, obviously, there's a few more variables that come into play, like obviously you got to be a good person, have a good product or service, and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you could have the greatest product or service in the world, but if nobody knows about you, they're not buying. And so just sit down and think of simple ways that you can expand your network, and always have this question in mind: what's in it for them? And so if you're looking to, maybe collaborate with others on, different events, or maybe you just want to collaborate on social media platforms and do some interviews and to give them a chance to promote what they're doing on your platform. Like, look for some scenarios where you can provide a lot of value to the person or organization that you want to collaborate with, and that'll give you the best opportunities, the best ideas in order to, have a successful campaign. Hey guys, if you're into hiking at all, I highly recommend subscribing to my YouTube page, Steve Leslie Hikes. That's Steve Leslie Hikes on YouTube. I have a lot of content on there from some of the crazy hikes that I've been on, including Angel's Landing in Zion National Park. And it'd be really cool to connect on there. So please check me out. Thanks. Now, another idea that I've had, this relates to, I'd say, more the health and wellness space. And this is something that I still want to do, but if you decide to take this idea and run with it, by all means, go for it. And that is the idea that your customers aren't just going to buy your product. Buying your product or service is one aspect of their life. They also have other interests, other needs, that sort of thing. And so if you can think about what else your customer is buying, you can then collaborate or look for ways to collaborate with people that have a similar target audience. Now, the most basic idea for that would be, there's a lot of people in the health and wellness space that, the audience may also like to buy gems and crystals. They may also like to buy plants. They may also like to buy books or read books. They may also love to go to meditation circles. They may also love to, go to yoga, that sort of thing. And so there's all these different aspects in this person's life of what they like to spend their money on. Everyone in that lineup occupies their own space, but they can also work together. And so you see a lot of collaborations in that space because they're aware that, people are if they're into one thing over here, they could also be into this over here, and to do a mashup together would be unbelievable for not just the people putting it on, but ultimately the people attending. And so just creating another win-win, but also because people would actually want to buy it, right? They want to attend, they want to be there, they want to be a part of it. And so the idea that I had was in this space to think of like the ultimate therapy room, where if you were able to section off a room or a certain amount of space in wherever you live, and that's dedicated to your own well-being, like your own ability to I guess relax, let the stress go, all that stuff. What would you have in that room? And some of the ideas, you might have some plants, you might have a journal, you might have some music, you might have some crystals. There's different things. You might have a waterfall. Just think of different things you would have in that space, right? Now that space would be the ideal space for not just you, but many others. And so if you're in that realm, if one of your customers or if your target audience would ultimately enjoy a space like that, okay, now in your community, where can you make partnerships or do collaborations with the people that or companies who make those products or offer those services, where you could create essentially a therapy room, or you could just do a collaboration with one of those components. And how would that look? What would you do? That's the kind of creative thinking that you can do to, come up with collaborations, expand your network, and, just create these new relationships and to build upon your audience. For those entrepreneurs out there who you have the entrepreneurial spirit and mindset, but you're just looking for your idea, one of the best books that you could read in order to get those creative juices flowing would be The $100 Startup by Guillebeau. And honestly, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that name right, but check it out. It is definitely worth it because it has all these little nuances that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but once you see them, once you read them, then the ideas start flowing. It's crazy to think just how successful some of these micro businesses can be, but that's why you have to check it out. That's $100 Startup by Guillebeau. All right, let's get back to the show. And so that's really what it comes down to, is thinking about what's in it for them, thinking about who has similar audiences than you, but may or may not occupy the same space. They might occupy a slightly different space, but you guys can work together, that sort of thing. And by sparking that creativity, that's going to allow you to really expand your network fast. And honestly, the simplest thing to do is what I had already said at the start of this, was look for ways to just interview or share things on your social medias, because the person sharing something or having an event, if that was you, wouldn't you want people to share it or to discuss it or to give you a platform to speak on about it? And again, that's the kind of thinking to go into, like, really empathize with people and think about what would they want. Well, if I was in that person's shoes, what would I want, right? And that's how you come up with these creative solutions in order to expand your network. So that's it for this episode. I hope it's been of value to you. And until next time, take care. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of PromoMinds Podcast. I'm Steve Leslie, and if you want help crafting your message or sharing your story, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help. Love coming up with ideas, and we can have a nice chat. So reach out to promominds@gmail.com and I'll respond. Take care.